Going to talk about some frequently asked questions regarding regular versus emergency rulemaking here in the state of California. So first, what are the types of rulemaking in California? According to the Office of Administrative Law, OAL, here in California, the two types of rulemaking procedures that a state agency can pursue are regular or emergency. What is basically required for regular rulemaking? The regular rulemaking process in this state requires an agency, department, board, commission, bureau, etc., to meet certain public hearing and notice requirements, among other provisions, pursuant to the California Administrative Procedure Act, the APA, found in California's Government Code. What's basically required for emergency rulemaking? The emergency rulemaking process has different requirements, but generally includes a much briefer public notice period, a very brief public comment period, and then review by OAL and its decision. Are there some APA provisions applicable to either type of rulemaking? Yes, whether the agency or department is engaged in regular or emergency rulemaking, that agency or department will be bound to follow the procedural requirements, again, found in the government code in the state APA, including provisions related to what is required in the contents of the rulemaking record, the standards of review to be utilized by OAL, what is placed in the initial statement of reasons, the ISOR, as well as the final statement of reasons, or the FSOR. How much rulemaking occurs between regular and emergency actions? The vast majority of regulations, as you would imagine, that are adopted pursuant to the APA are submitted to OAL as regular rulemakings. The regular rulemaking process includes comprehensive public notice and comment periods, among other provisions. What else may be required for regular rulemaking in this state? That process also requires certain documents and information upon which the rulemaking action is based be made available for review and inspection by members of the public. What's the purpose of developing the rulemaking record? It's intended to further the goal of public participation in the rulemaking process and to create an adequate rulemaking record for review by OAL and, if necessary, by the courts in the state. What's the general rule for emergency rulemaking in California? In terms of emergency rulemaking, the general rule is that a state agency may adopt emergency regulations in response to a situation that calls for immediate action to avoid serious harm to the public peace, health, safety, or general welfare. Or, of course, if a specific statute adopted by the legislature deems a situation to be an emergency under the APA. Why is the public comment period much shorter with emergency regulations? Basically, because regulations deemed an emergency are intended to avoid serious harm and they require immediate regulatory action. So, this process is substantially abbreviated compared to that which exists for regular rulemaking. Who receives and reviews emergency rulemaking public comments? OAL reviews emergency regulations for compliance with the APA's emergency rulemaking requirements. What's the period of review time used by OAL? OAL must allow 5 calendar days for public comments after posting a notice of the filing of the proposed emergency regulation on its website. What is the use of Form 400? If an emergency rulemaking is undertaken, a Form 400 is used, and this contains the proposed text of the regulation, as well as the finding of emergency that is being submitted by the rulemaking entity to OAL. Can emergency rulemaking submissions be modified or removed? Yes, these documents may be revised or even withdrawn during the OAL review process. And are there any agency-specific requirements related to rulemaking? You should be aware that some agencies and departments in this state have requirements related to regular or emergency rulemaking that may be particularly unique to that agency or department. And so you'll want to check with those agencies or departments that you're dealing with on a proposed emergency rulemaking action.